This is your reality check.
What's up, cuboids? Welcome to the Reality Check, your weekly Canadian show which explores a wide range of controversies and curiosities using science and critical thinking. I'm Adam Gardner, and it's just me today for a show recorded on March 15th, 2022. There's only one segment today, so let's get started. Recently, Pat sent me a link to a Canada Land episode and said something was, and I quote, "Such an Adam segment." And he was right. The story discussed was of Mikael, the Panther of Kharkiv, who followed laser spots to identify 4 snipers leading to their death. This is absurd, right? Well, yes, it is absurd. But let's examine just why it's absurd, the many reasons for which this is nonsense. The story started with a viral tweet by user NowI'mNothing_, who posted a video of a soldier holding a cat with the following caption. Hashtag Ukraine army cats are trained to spot and direct the location of hashtag Russian sniper laser dots. This is Mikael, the Panther of Kharkiv, who single-handed exposed the location of 4 snipers, which ended in their deaths. Hashtag Russia-Ukraine war, hashtag invasion of Ukraine, hashtag Putin, hashtag Volodymyr Zelensky. So, this is nonsense. Where do we start? Even if this concept was somehow plausible, let's just start by saying it didn't actually happen. So Snopes says that this is miscaptioned, which I think doesn't properly encompass quite how false the claim is, but okay. Let's start with the caption idea. The photo was posted to Twitter on the 27th of February 2022, but it had been circulating online since at least 2018, years before the current Russian invasion of Ukraine, which started on February 21st, 2022. So even though the war between Russia and Ukraine had been ongoing since 2014, the suggestion was that this was sort of a recent phenomenon with this cat. One could perhaps argue that this was the cat who perhaps took out some snipers earlier in the conflict, but that still doesn't make a ton of sense. Snopes does not focus on the cat, but instead on the laser part. So the idea here is that the cat would follow the laser from the sniper rifle like it would a laser pointer. It's a common cat toy. It's really fun to play with that with cats. And then something, they expose 4 snipers who get killed somehow. According to Snopes and reality, real-life sniper rifles don't usually use those kind of lasers. In movies, we sometimes see snipers aiming at a target, and then there'll be a visible red dot like those from a laser pointer on the target. There's a humorous scene in the movie The Big Hit where a character finds himself with a swarm of dots on him. This is often played up to be a bit of a joke in some films. As Snopes explains, the problem with such a red dot is that it would expose the shooter's presence. Also, specifically for sniper rifles, when they're used at a long distance, the dot may not be reliable because there's bullet drop, so basically gravity over a long distance will cause it to fall. Interference from wind, humidity, temperature, all sorts of things that complicate the bullet's path. So laser sights do exist. They're often mounted on a pistol, but they can also be used on a rifle. Laser sights are better for short range. They allow a person to aim more quickly. A sniper rifle is sort of the opposite. The shooter takes their time to aim and they shoot over a longer distance. The laser sight becomes less necessary in this case. The intensity of the laser also diminishes with distance. So these can be useful at over 1,000 feet during nighttime, but less so during the day. It is unlikely that a cat would ever have the opportunity to see a laser dot coming out of a sniper rifle, but what if they actually did? Okay, let's imagine that they're really sloppy and they actually have these red dot sights on their sniper rifles. Now, I play with my cats with a laser pointer quite a bit. I won't say I'm an expert on it, but I have a lot of experience. We'll just say that. So I've had a few cats that recognize the sound of the laser pointer. So usually there's like a little keychain attachment to it. They hear me pick it up and then they'll run around looking for the dot. What they don't do is look at me and look at the laser pointer. There's an association between the laser pointer itself, so in this case, the sound of the laser pointer, and the dot and the sort of the game that we're playing, but they don't actually have an understanding of where that dot is coming from. That's the whole point of the game. That's what makes it fun. The cat believes that the dot projected from the laser pointer is some sort of object. The dot moves. They might think it's a small insect or some sort of prey. They think that the dot is the toy, right? So I've never seen a cat attack a laser pointer itself. It's possible that some do, but I haven't seen that. They chase the dot. Sometimes they'll notice the actual red light at the tip of the laser pointer and be very briefly distracted by it. But then if they see the dot on the ground, that's way more appealing. So how exactly is Mikael, the Panther of Kharkiv, finding the snipers or their guns? Cats don't track the lasers to their source. This isn't how they work. Could one envision a cat being trained to find the source of a laser dot Potentially, but then this would have nothing to do with the reason that this story is appealing in the first place, which is that cats like to play with the dot itself. Cats are also extremely difficult to train. Dogs are quite a bit more trainable, and they're also able to follow the light of a laser dot. Humans can do it, of course, as well. A young toddler will, like a cat, be confused by the laser dot, try to grab it, but at an older age, children will understand that the dot is coming from the actual laser pointer and look for the source, unless they're just playing to have fun, and then that's a different story. So naturally, adults are quite capable of doing this as well. They're able to reason that the dot is not the actual thing, it's coming from somewhere, and they'll look for it. So why bring a cat into this at all when a human would actually be much better at the task of following a red dot and trying to infer where the sniper might be? Well, because it's a joke tweet. Now, I wonder if anyone who was retweeting it or sharing this really thought that it was genuine or if they were just joking around themselves. Was it intended to be serious misinformation? I don't think so, but let's look at a few responses by the person who originally shared it. And I quote, "You seriously think cats hunt snipers? It's a satire tweet. I feel sorry for people that think this is real. Effing idiots." And when anyone asked about a patch on the soldier's arm, the user copy and pasted the same message numerous times. "Who cares? This is a satire, a parody. Tweet I made to confuse and trigger fools in Twitter. Too many people aren't smart enough to get it, overanalyzed it. I just own their asses by trigger them with it. Too funny. Hashtag the Panther of Kharkiv." So there was some discussion and some of the replies about whether or not this was a proper parody, but ultimately it seems evident that it was either meant as a joke or a troll, or kind of a mix of both. That being said, not all of the news coming out of Ukraine is a joke, and there's no shortage of actual misinformation going around. There are some widely shared stories about the ghost of Kyiv, which is probably what this was kind of a play on. So he was said to have won 6 airfights in the same evening. A Facebook post by the Security Service of Ukraine said he shot down 10 planes. A video of the supposed ghost of Kyiv is from a combat simulator game released in 2008. And I'm not going to comment on the specifics here. I have not investigated this thoroughly, and I feel it's likely in the realm of this sort of like hard to say for sure because it's hard to get some really accurate information about it, but perhaps that could be its own segment. It certainly is more plausible than a cat taking down snipers, but it seems quite likely that some or all of these claims are exaggerated. I've not been able to follow the news coming out of Ukraine closely enough to be able to give a detailed analysis on anything beyond this silly cat story, but everyone should be careful in evaluating information that they find online, relying mostly on reliable sources, and treating others with scrutiny when they deserve it. An inspirational tweet or photo may not be what it turns out to be. Now, if any of our listeners are living in Russia and receiving information which is filtered through or delivered to them by the state, I would hope that as listeners to our podcast, you have an understanding of the value in questioning that narrative and seeking a variety of sources to confirm what you read or hear. The Panther of Kharkiv does not exist. The sniper rifles used by the Russian military likely don't have laser sights on them, which are anything like those seen in the movies. Even if they did, a cat would not be able to do much but chase down those dots, which wouldn't help reveal the location of actual snipers and would likely result in the cat's death. More generally, cats are notoriously difficult to train, as anyone who has kitchen counters is well aware. So be careful what you listen to, and I am hoping for a quick end to the violence in Ukraine. Peace, cuboids.
For show notes or to discuss this episode, visit our Facebook page and website at trcpodcast.com. For general inquiries or to send a topic or parody suggestion, email info@trcpodcast.com. Help support the show by leaving a review on iTunes and liking us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at @TRC_podcast.